In this video, we're going to see what happens if a school only had one-star recruits available to them for a 15-year span. Going to be taking over South Alabama and just recruiting the one-star guys that you could see at the top of the board. I mean, even the best of the one-star recruits are barely top 3,000 players in the nation. And this is also just a test to see what kind of one-star players can you get? How often can you find high dev players, higher overall players? And when I say high overall for a one-star, I just mean, can you find people in like the high 60s? Can you find a player that gets drafted into the NFL? Can someone develop into a 90 plus overall? But also just in general, what can a team of one stars accomplish over this span of time? I mean, what is the ceiling for a team like this? Just how good can the roster be? I would be very surprised if the team could go out here and win a national championship or anything like that. And I guess a big difference between this video and another type of video like this where people try to win a national championship with one stars, I'm not going to be playing the games. Everything that goes down is going to be us spectating. We're going to be spectating any sort of big-time matchup, bowl game, conference championship, and if we make the playoffs, we'll be spectating those, but everything throughout the regular season is going to be pretty whatever. And in this first season, it's pretty irrelevant what we do because it's not with our one-star team, so the team we inherited, what we do in year one is completely irrelevant. We're going to let everybody go. If they want to transfer, go ahead and transfer. If you don't transfer, we're just going to end up cutting you anyway because we're going to immediately be jumping to starting these one-star guys. So we went and got ourselves a full class of one-stars. They're super easy to recruit. I mean, literally all you got to do for these guys is just slap 10 hours on them, simulate the whole season. You basically will just get most of them or all of them. But as you can see, they don't carry a whole lot of value when it comes to the top classes. I mean, you can go and get a full 35 class of one stars and it doesn't do much of anything. But when it comes to the development for these players, I haven't really dove too deep into what one stars are like. I've been, doing all these videos about the number one prospects and 5 stars. I want to see what some one stars and everything in between looks like. Most of the players were normal and we had a couple of impacts. I want to see how common is it for one of these one stars to be star, elite even? I mean, I would be really curious to see if an elite one star existed, what they would even look like, and where you can go and find edges when it comes to one stars. Are they even worth getting? I did discover in a video I did a while back, JUCOs. I did an entire challenge video where I tried to win a national championship with JUCOs and transfer portal players. I learned pretty quickly in a couple of seasons that it was going to be really difficult because it's not like NCAA 14 and before where JUCOs would come in at these boosted, jacked overalls and you'd just sacrifice, some development time, but you'd get a higher floor player. No, JUCOs are just as bad as some of the other players, but they also just have less time to develop. So we could see here, I'm just cutting all of the active players and real players on the team, and I'm doing as much as I can to try to just start all these one-star players at the very least, just see if we can get some early development on them and try to get them to max out their ceiling. The ceiling of these players is, we're going to be lucky to see if they hit an 80, but a big part of this is also going to be trying to get our coaching staff right. Obviously, when you're doing this and you're just trying to maximize the talent on your roster, you got to go with the strategist stuff and you got to go and upgrade these guys' ratings as much as possible to try to increase their ceiling. I don't need a recruiting tree and I don't need the motivator tree because we're not going to be playing all these games. But the recruiting tree, I mean, they're super easy to get. You just got to go full send the strategy tree. I'm going to try to get up to like architect to try to maybe get some ratings caps increase, going to max out the strategist tree, try to do the same for the coordinators and try to get the coordinators to be there. But you can take a look at what the depth chart's going to look like, and to no surprise with starting a team like that, the team goes winless. So we're going to try to just see, if we could get a win in the first couple of seasons. But I mean, it looked really bad, and you shouldn't be surprised that you go 0-12 to start in, the first year of actually simulating with these players. But the quarterback, I mean, that's quite a lot of interceptions to be throwing there. A very bad season from him, and I think it is, curious because I haven't really dove into just how bad some of these players can perform if you throw them out there when they shouldn't be on the field. But a 6 touchdown to 30 interception ratio, I think, kind of proves the point that they have a long way to go. And in this video, I just really wanted to try something a little different, try to get some variety out there instead of doing the same old with the states. And I'm obviously going to be still doing those videos, but I don't want this to be a situation where I kind of run out of mileage on some of the video ideas that I'm doing. And then once I'm done with those video ideas, just have nothing else. And I want to try new things, see what you guys also want to see, what you guys are interested in. If you want to see, more videos like this, or even maybe a part 2 to this video, because I could go another 15 years, even though that took a long time to get these first 15 years going. I mean, it's just trying to test the waters and see what other kind of content you want to see on this game, because I am down to just do whatever. I feel like I'll do other Road to Glories, I'll do other Dynasty content. If you want a series, one-off videos, mini-series, just please do not ask me to play like Ultimate Team or anything. But as we go back into the next season with all of these players, you can see the overall jumps were pretty significant. So these players are 4 one-star guys going to develop at least at a pretty solid rate. It's just the thing with them is their ceilings are so low that they hit their ceilings pretty quickly, and then that's just kind of what they are. They'll hit that 60 overall, high 60s, maybe low 70s, and some of them still have some room to grow, but there are a number of players where they'll just hit that 75 overall mark, and that's just it. That's just what they are. But there's going to be a couple of players that we can find, some impact guys that we have kind of strung along with these 35 player classes, where in 35 players we may only get like 2 or 3 that are impact or better, but those guys, we got to try to maximize them as much as humanly possible. So again, this team is still far from good, and they went 0-12 once again, so that's 2 straight winless seasons. But I think the team is now going to be at a point where they can at least play competently. I mean, 68 overall is not too far off of what the worst team in the FBS is, if I do remember correctly. I still think UL Monroe is a 71 in this game, even with like roster updates and stuff. But if 71 overall is the lowest FBS team in the game, 68's not that far off, so we could maybe try to get a little bit better going into next season and maybe steal a game or 2 somewhere. But the stats do look a little bit better for us. I mean, since we have actual playable players on this team. But I was surprised going through this just how hard it is to find a star or a elite player. I mean, I didn't anticipate finding elite players, but I mean, I thought a star would be possible. But I mean, we've gone out here and gotten a bunch of 35 player classes, and just all of the players basically are normal with the occasional impact. And as we continue to go through and learn about these 1-stars, one thing that you do learn pretty quickly, offensive linemen are kind of, I guess, the meta of these 1-star guys. Is the best 1-stars you are going to find 90% of the time are going to be offensive linemen, and we do have an offensive lineman that has hit the 80 overall mark, so that's great to see. So we've already kind of hit, I don't want to say a milestone. 80 overall is still a pretty low bar, but a player to be a natural 80 overall without any coach boost, that's at least something. I don't know if we're going to ever hit the 90 overall mark or even get a single player drafted, but I mean, if he's 81 overall as a junior, you're going to hope that he could get maybe a little bit better. And this team, we didn't go winless. We beat an FCS team, but we also beat a legit team. And what do you know? It's UL Monroe, which is not a surprise considering, like I said, they were the worst team in this game overall-wise. And I know we're a couple of years in the future, but it doesn't seem like they've gotten a whole lot better. But yeah, we got our first wins on the board. Now we sit at, what would that be, a 2-34 all-time record with these guys. But we do have some good news on the way with the fact that I've been pretty stingy when it comes to hiring the right coordinator. I've been kind of holding out and waiting for the right guys, and we found the right guys, trying to get these tactician people for the strategist archetype and getting the max level amount of boost that we can get. And we have gotten it with both of our coordinators, and I don't think the school's ever going to be good enough for teams to want to steal our coordinators, but we have just about fully maxed out boost that we can have for our team, and then the next goal would be to unlock the archetype tree to help us out a little bit more as we go through. I have found it really interesting what the game values and how just little they value a 1-star player. There are recruiting classes where I'll dead serious see like a team get a 3-star and like 2 stars, and like that's their whole recruiting class, and that'll still be better than 31 stars, which I find a little crazy. But going into the next season, we got some legitimate players, an 85 overall. Now this is obviously with the boosts, but Spencer McCarry, this is a weird one. He has an Achilles tear going into the season. He was our best player last year. He's fully maxed out now, and with boost, he's an 85 overall. But I am confused. I've seen this happen a couple of times where a player just is injured, and it looks like he got injured in the last game of last season, which I guess carries over into this year. But we're going to try to get like a medical red shirt or something on him. And Emeka Adebore, 77 overall for a quarterback, which is playable. He's a playable quarterback for a 1-star, so that's at least nice to see. He's a 73 in base, so the team is a 73 overall and actually is probably not the worst team in the FBS. So you guys can also let me know your experiences with that injury thing. I'm not gonna like, it's not a bug or anything, I don't think, but the fact that there has been multiple instances where I've seen a player get hurt like right at the end of the season and then go and miss the entire next year. We do win 4 games this season, but with the injury thing, you would think that the player would be ready because it would be a full like 9-month recovery or whatever the case is, but I don't think the game actually does that, because when I simulate through the offseason a 29-week injury, once I get to the next preseason, it's still like a 20-something week injury. So the game, I guess that's something they do have to fix, is just the fact that simulating a couple of stages in the off season, not every stage is actually just a week, and once you get to the next season, you should have that time skip to a couple of months down the line when it's actually that time of the year, and my players shouldn't be gone. Now the thing is, you could see Makari has a red shirt on him and he's injured, and he has a red shirt, but he's also here graduated. And this whole situation is confusing the heck out of me, because then when I go and see him the next time around, he is going to be back on the team. So that just might be a bug. I don't know what that is, but we got our next recruiting class here. A bunch of, as usual, prospects. Still no star or elite players, but as you can see on the roster, Spencer McCurry's here, and he's still injured. He is still hurt. Now, his injury is almost done, 1 week, so he'll be playing this season as a senior 5th-year redshirt player, but that was just such a weird situation that I seen. Here's our running back, and this is actually a competent player who hasn't maxed out yet. He's an 82 overall, and he still has room to grow, so maybe something there. I don't know if he'll be, NFL good, but speaking of NFL good, potentially here, 87 overall with a boost. Kyle Allen, not the former Texas A&M quarterback who terrorized you in NCAA 14, but Kyle Allen, a defensive tackle here. So it's already a good sign to see that we've been able to get a player at least to that mid-80s level, because the boost is going to get him up a little bit, but he is like a legitimate, solid player, so we've been able to at least get up to that level, and the coach boosts are really helping out quite a bit. Now, I do feel like the coach boosts aren't really taken into account with the team overall, because I do think this team is a bit better than a 74 overall, maybe before the boost, but the team does go 2 wins because they're still not a deep or talented team overall. They're still not great. I mean, even if we were like a 78, 79 overall team, that's still putting us towards the bottom of the FBS, and even in the Sun Belt, that's, still going to be struggling for some victories, but the stats are at least looking a bit more normal, and I do think we're at least close to the point where we actually are going to be seeing this team get into some action with like bowl games or anything. I have seen, some upward trajectory with this group, but Spencer McCurry gets to graduate on his own. We only have 3 people graduating, so we get to bring just about everybody back. So that's where I think this team is finally going to start being competent now, because I have had to adjust with the fact that we can't bring in 35 recruits. And somehow this happened again, literally the next season, that running back. And look how crazy this is. He only played 3 games. He tore his knee up in the 4th game or the 3rd game of the season, and he's going to be out for the rest of that year, and then all of this year. And we don't even have a red shirt available for him, so he's just going to miss a whole season of play. That's just crazy that happened twice. But then we got this offensive lineman here, 85 overall with the boost, still not quite at his max yet, and a safety, 86 overall. And look at this, he's got a lot of room to grow still. So this might be our best chance at an NFL draftable player, because he is in that low to mid 80s level before the boost. If he still has room to grow, he could maybe get to 85, 86, 87 overall, and that is kind of putting him on the fringe of being a player that's good enough to be drafted. So we've hit our highest overall so far. I think this team is actually competent now and ready to at least do a little bit in the Sun Belt. I mean, the Sun Belt isn't exactly steep competition, but we should be at the point where we can make a bowl game potentially. And I have been trying to schedule at least some lighter non-conference opponents to help us out a little bit, but we have also unlocked the architect tree because for some reason, even though we weren't winning a crazy amount of games, we were beating our rival, and our rival's Troy, so we got our 4 rivalry wins. We beat them in that first season too, so a little cheap there, but we got the architect tree, and we finally got a bowl game, so some upward momentum. We go 6-6 on the season, and we go back and forth, win some, lose some. We actually put up some legitimate points, a 50-point game in a game against UL Monroe, so the team is actually competent now, and we get to see some action here. It's a 14-14 game. The opportunities for us to hop into games may be few and far between, so we're going to hope every game we hop into is going to be close enough to where we get to actually watch some stuff happen as they throw outside. That's going to be intercepted, and the Sam Houston Bearcats take it back to the 40-yard line, and now in an opportunity with under 2 minutes to go now to try to win this game, and they get a handoff there, nowhere to go, and it's going to be 4th down, field goal on the way. The kick is good, and Sam Houston has a 3-point lead in South Alabama. We got the opportunity to go on a game-tying or game-winning drive, but a sack here. 3 guys swarm through, and now it's going to be 3rd down and very long, dropping to throw, and he's running all the way back. What is he doing? He's going to get tackled for a safety, and I don't know what he was doing there. He just ran out of field, and now they're going to throw one up the left side, and that's going to be caught and gone for the touchdown, and a 14-14 game quickly goes disastrous for us, but at least we made a bowl game, and we had a 6-win season, which is our best so far. I mean, it's a long way from the 0-12 and the 2-10s to go and get 6 wins, but I don't know what Presley, our quarterback, was doing there. I mean, he took a sack, then he just started running backwards. I guess that's what you're getting with a 1-star team. So we're going to see if we could top that. You can let me know what you think a peak or a ceiling of a team full of 1-stars are. Can they make the playoffs? Can they win the conference? Can they have a double-digit win season? Can they do something? Again, not a lot of graduations. I mean, most of the time when I get through cutting players, most of the players will come in, like we end up with a 30-man class, and then only 10 maybe make it to their senior year because they just don't develop, and I can only keep the good ones and the ones that are actually worth being on the team. So, I mean, for every guy like Damian Capra, there's about a dozen or 2 dozen guys who end up getting cut, but he's an 88 overall with the boost and still some room to grow. So he's like a legit player. I think he actually could get drafted, and we have an interesting quarterback too. 80 overall with the boost, and he is almost at his ceiling, but not quite there yet. And even though we could maybe start someone else at quarterback, I want to go for this guy, maximize him, and give him as much time in the lineup as we can. Daryl Creer too, an impact player, is an 81 overall, and again, not quite at a ceiling. So some of these impact guys really do make a difference. The difference between normal and impact is staggering. With the core of the team back for another year, and we have, that freshman quarterback now going into another year. We have that safety, Capra, who is going to be back for another season, and potentially our first drafted player, maybe? We have a couple of actual difference makers on the team, and we are highest overall. Our star rating is still in the dumpster because of literally everything else, but we have a legit team, and we are in a bowl game against the ranked Kennesaw State team. So that's going to be a difficult matchup, even though it is Kennesaw State. We did have a ranked team in our conference in Georgia Southern that we had a close game with, so let's see if we can actually take down a ranked team and win a bowl game. And it is a 28-23 game, and we have the football, so we are in control. And if we can go get a touchdown on this drive, it might be over. A field goal would help us out quite a bit as well, but we want that touchdown as we throw for a first down, completing it. and now inside the 30-yard line, 2nd down and 10. We're going to be throwing one, a contested ball, and that's going to be caught inside the 10. Timeout used. Kennesaw State trying to get this football back. Can they get a stop? No, they cannot. And that's going to be a South Alabama victory as we get that touchdown, go up by 2 scores. Kennesaw State could do nothing about it, and we won our first bowl game. And not only that, we took down a ranked team, and we just won 8 games in a year. That's, pretty good progress, I feel like, especially with some of the weaknesses on this team, because I have noticed as well, another thing that you kind of figure out, some positions are just unattainable in this game when it comes to these 1 stars. Quarterback, offensive lineman, safety, I think are like the best positions, but wide receiver, tight end, linebackers, those are the positions where I just can't find anything. I can't find anybody, and it is so hard to get good players at those spots. Even running back is really difficult. But we have another quarterback here, a impact development player. So here's what an impact 1-star quarterback looks like, just to kind of give you some variety to see what some of these guys end up looking like. But it is just really difficult to find certain positions. Quarterback, weirdly enough, has been easier. Here's our best wide receiver that we can kind of put together, and he's a 74 overall, so that's something at least. But at least with a lot of these 1-star on the lineman, the safety, the corner, a lot of these other spots, you can get players that are high 70s, low 80s, even mid 80s is possible. But wide receiver, just can't find one. Running back, the best one we had was high 70s. Tight end, I can't do anything at tight end, and it's just some of these spots are just impossible. So it made me change my recruiting strategy a little bit to just go and focus on some other spots and see if I could go and do a lot of positional changes to try to boost the overall of this team. Because even, it's not the most natural thing to be putting, safeties at linebacker or putting certain athletes at edge rusher, even though they're horribly undersized. I had to do something to make sure this team had some talent. We do have some consistency in our favor, though, as we had another 7-win season and another bowl trip, and this time we're going to be down 6 points to Akron, so it's going to be up to us to try to get a game-winning drive, and we're going to throw one for a 1st down to the 40-yard line, and more! He's running down the sidelines! Can he be caught? Yes, he can! Inside the 10, goal to go, 1st down and goal, throwing, clean pocket, end zone, and that's going to be intercepted. An amazing play to set us up in goal to go, and then you throw the pick to give it right away. And now you got to get a stop on defense and go and score. But Akron getting to the 2nd and inches and running the clock now, 2-clock mode. And they got the 1st down there and a big run past the 40, past the 50, and now in enemy territory. 2-minute warning is here, and another 1st down could end this game. Play action, throwing one. That's going to be caught for the 1st down. Timeout used, but it was just not enough. Defense couldn't get off the field, and that interception ultimately was our undoing. But another bowl game appearance and another winning record for us. Again, upward trajectory, upward momentum. You're improving, you're getting better. I mean, this is a long way from 0-12 and 2-win seasons, so now being a potentially consistent 500 or better team in bowl games, that's another step forward, and that's another step to hopefully get us into that next tier of a team that can go and compete for the conference championship or beyond that. So, with another recruiting class, graduated and only about a third of the players making it, we have another set of guys coming in as we go through, just a typical normal and impact guys, still not a single star or better. That is crazy. But speaking of crazy, look at this guy, Kane Rossi, a athlete who is probably the highest overall, if I can recall, 67 overall, and he's a quarterback. So, like I said, quarterbacks wasn't really the issue for us. We were able to acquire some really decent quarterback play, and Kane Rossi has physical tools, like legitimate arm talent. A lot of the quarterbacks that you scout, even at athlete, 70s in throw power, low, mid 80s. Having a guy with legit arm talent is crazy. And Capra, Look at that. He's a 87 overall. That's a draftable player, and we're in the Sun Belt Championship. We went 7-1 in the conference, so that's really impressive. We're going to be taking on Marshall in the conference championship, but unfortunately, we're not doing too well right now. Going into the fourth quarter and just seeing if we could simulate through and get a little bit closer, but no, another point scored for Marshall, and it's going to be a 3-score game, and we're just not going to be able to put any points up on the board, so we're going to go down here and lose the Sun Belt Championship, but at least we made it. At least we got that far. An 8-win regular season. Obviously, we're going to get a bowl game out of it, so our bowl game is going to be a really tough one. NC State in the Birmingham Bowl. That's a ranked NC State team. So our first, legit test with, a legitimate Power 5, Power 4, I guess, school, and a legit team that isn't just a Sun Belt or a MAC team or Conference USA, but we're holding our own. It's 10-6. This is a game where we should be massive underdogs, but we're actually putting up a fight here. This is a team that probably doesn't have a 1-star player on their entire roster and has probably just started a bunch of 3 and 4 stars. Meanwhile, we're only 1 star, so we got to play there inside the 20-yard line and to the 15, and we are in position to take this lead. Do not throw a pick inside the 10-yard line again. Come on, throwing one underneath. That's going to be caught and right at the 1-yard line, but an opportunity to punch this in. Handoff, and we are in for the touchdown. We have the lead over NC State. This would be by far the biggest win of the video. Can we pull off a massive win? But the read option is going to get NC State a big chunk run and close to midfield already. Just needing a field goal to tie this up, and there's still plenty of time, so they don't got to rush. And throwing one incomplete, and that was on 3rd down, so we got the stop. We got the football back. And can we run this clock out? But not if you're just going to be running backwards and taking a sack on 3rd down. At least you kept the clock moving, but you gave him good field position. A 1-star punter ain't going to do a whole lot to help you in the field position battle. And NC State's already inside the 25-yard line. 2-minute warning has hit. Dropping back, clean pocket, throwing one deep middle. And that's caught in traffic. Touchdown. Wolfpack got it. And now we got to go on a game-winning touchdown drive. And I just don't know how likely it is we do it again, but a big play to start the drive past the 40-yard line. And we are already closing in on midfield. Now we are in enemy territory. 2nd down and 1. Throwing outside. That's going to be jumped and intercepted. And NC State is going to take us down. But man, we put up a fight. And what should have been a blowout probably resulted in a 1-score game. So positive optimism for the future of this team potentially. This was the best year for our team, it really felt like, because we got some actual competent running back play, decent receiver play, decent quarterback play. We had a legitimate, potentially NFL caliber player on defense and an 87 overall safety. So the team was able to actually come out here and not only compete against NC State, but we're on 3 straight winning seasons, and I think things are just continuing to go up. Unfortunately, I looked when we graduated, our guys, 87 overall, not good enough to get drafted. That's really unfortunate. It felt like he should have been drafted. Maybe that's just a bias, but I think he could have been drafted. 87 overall safety. I've seen 87s, 86s, and even 85s get drafted before in other positions, but unfortunate. And we do have some players for us. I did try to spend even more time scouting players, but look at us. We actually have a player who absolutely should be drafted. Look at Jeff Darling, an actual legitimate 90 overall player with boost. But he's an 89 overall in base, that should be enough to get drafted. And then Kevin Truman, 88 overall with boost, but not at his ceiling quite yet. A potential NFL caliber guy. He's right on the fringe. But Jeff Darling's progression came out of nowhere. He's one of the best centers in the nation, the 4th best center in the nation. We have legitimate players on the team. We're a 2-star program now. We have a couple of weaknesses, but the offensive line, I mean, it's just easy to build a good offensive line, or at least a competent offensive line. And having a player like Darling come out here and getting the progression that he's getting, if he doesn't get drafted, I just think it's rigged at that point. If 89, I don't know if we're going to get better than an 89, but we got another bowl game, Myrtle Beach Bowl, once again, Central Michigan, and we are coming out here with another nice record. Not a conference championship this time, but I think a conference championship could be in our future. And look at that, a 58-55 game. I mean, I also don't know why on the screen going into the season it said we were like a 78 overall, and then when I look there, it's a 73 overall. At this point, I just think we need to ignore the overall stuff because it's just so fluctuating and weird and random. But we have a 3-point lead. We force a punt. It's 3rd down and 1, and we're throwing one for a deep shot, and that's gonna be caught, and he's gonna go right down to the 1-yard line. Just got tracked down. Now it's 2nd down and goal, handing it off, and we're gonna finish the drive with a touchdown. So it's a 10-point game, and Central Michigan trying to mount a comeback here, and they're gonna be throwing one deep themselves, and that's gonna be caught but brought down. So we are not going to allow it. It's a 1-play touchdown, and now Central Michigan throwing one outside. That's going to be caught, and now out inside the 25-yard line, nearing the red zone. They need to put points up on the board, but they prefer the touchdown, and they're not going to get either one of them. South Alabama takes it. And how about our first 9-win season and inching closer to the double-digit win year? And this team, I mean, we're getting close to maybe being a perennially ranked 9-10 win team. And we have a quarterback graduating, Valles. Hey, 4-year starter, put up 3,000 plus yards every year, was doing his thing. So we're going to have to try to replace that, but we do have the guy to replace him. So, I mean, you seen that quarterback we got earlier, the athlete who was a 67 overall. He's going to be our quarterback going forward. So we're pretty excited about him being on the team and actually being, you know, progressing to the point where he's hit his ceiling. But speaking for right now, the team, once again, really nice stuff. They're actually like a legit school. And now 4 straight winning seasons, 7, 8, now 9 wins. The next step, though, we got to go and get ourselves into a conference championship. And we do get into the draft. A 3rd-round pick was Jeff Darling. And we finally found what it took like a decade, but we got a star player, a star wide receiver at that, too. It's so hard to find wide receivers, but we got a star. I just was going through at that point thinking it was impossible to find them, and I went out of my way to just start scouting as many players as I could. Even if the people on our board weren't scouted all the time, what I would do is I would just throw like 10 guys on the board, start scouting them. None of them were gems, take them off, and just keep recycling and repeating. And I found draft Kevin Truman too. Another player who probably should go pro. High 80s overall, 91 with the boost. Really good. Here's Kane Rossi, the quarterback from earlier. Somehow his power isn't maxed out, even though he came in with 94 throw power, has gone up to 95, and still has a ways to go. So weirdly, his ceilings were so odd because throw power was what he was best at, but that was also the thing he had the most room to grow in. Damian Lord, another player who was an impact gem, he was a higher overall. He started off as like a 60, and he's really good after a redshirt. So legit talent on this team. And I think Kane at quarterback is going to be good enough. We have like a legitimate NFL offensive lineman. Damian Lord could potentially be an NFL player for us. So I was surprised to see that it's possible to get like legit guys with the 1-stars. And I mean, even though none of them really are stars or elites, and we'll take a look at the receiver when he eventually, you know, has his chance to be a starter for the team and what that star receiver looks like. But for this season, how about getting our shot at a conference championship once again against Appalachian State? It's 20-15, and South Alabama has the football screen set up. That's going to be caught and on the run for the 1st down marker. Not quite there. 2nd down and inches. There is 5 minutes to play, so we're not going to be able to run the entire clock out, but we can get a nice sizable amount of the clock down, kick a field goal potentially, or even score the touchdown to probably put the game away. And we are close to that inside the 30-yard line. Deep drop for Kane Rossi, and he's going to get sacked. He ran too far backwards, and now it's going to be 3rd down and long. Can we at least salvage field goal range? Throwing one outside, and we do just that. So salvaging field goal range, but we're not kicking the field goal for some reason. We're going for it, and a flag is out, and we get stopped. I don't know about this. You kick the field goal, you ensure that you at least don't lose this game in regulation, but you go for it, and then you mistakenly hold and don't get it, and now South Alabama's allowing a touchdown potentially. Appalachian State immediately strikes with a touchdown, and now you're losing. They don't get the 2-point conversion at least, but we're down by 1. Now we need a game-winning drive, and at least we're off to a nice start. We can just get a field goal, though, as we're close to midfield. 2nd down and 10. Rossi, deep drop. He's going to have a clean pocket and a lot of time, but he's going to run it, break in a tackle, break in 2 tackles, stumbling around, and he gets out of bounds, fighting for it. It's 4th down and 2, though, as you need to convert here to keep this alive. Quick pass is going to do it, though, past the 40-yard line. I mean, a 1-star kicker probably doesn't have too much range. I would want to make sure this is inside a 50-yard attempt, but we're going to do just that there inside the 30-yard line. Now at the 25-yard line, 3rd down and 7. Handoff, that's going to be stopped, but the field goal, it's close enough. 41 yards just about. Kick is on the way. It is good. We were able to get that clock down to about 30 seconds, and now it's 2nd down for Appalachian State. They drop to throw, and nowhere to go with the football. He's going to get brought down in bounds. They're out of timeouts. They have to hurry back to the line. They spike the football, and now there's 10 seconds to play. It's 4th down. Throwing, that's going to be caught. So they extend the game, go back, spike the football, and it's down to 1 play. A Hail Mary. Pass rushes in quickly, so he's got to throw it too fast, and the receivers couldn't get down the field, and we have finally won the conference, and we're taking home a Sun Belt championship in a close one over Appalachian State. We search for the first 10-win season in our bowl game, which has not been a very entertaining bowl game. It's 14-7, and Toledo with an opportunity to go on a game-tying drive, but this has been a very low-scoring struggle affair between these two teams. If the defense can go and get themselves a stop, though, it's going to be our first double-digit win season, a conference championship, a bowl win, but the catch there is going to have them a big gain after the grab. Yards after catch, got to bring him down, now close to midfield, throwing one. He's backing up quite a bit, though, and there's no one there. 2 guys could diverge. That's a sack. 4th down now, and the opportunity to win this game. Throwing one deep, and he just missed him, and that's going to do it. South Alabama survives, but that was really close, and he almost just threw a dagger at us. And Kane Rossi goes and puts up numbers. I mean, my goodness, he's just lighting them up, over 4,000 yards, and I mean, he's a different quarterback than the guys we have had previously. No one that we have had has had that level of arm talent. Now, he's not exactly the highest overall. He's the same overall as the guys we've had previously, but I mean, the arm talent is there. He's athletic. He can throw the ball, 50, 60 plus yards, and he may be a little sporadic with his accuracy, though. But our first 10-win season, and things are looking really nice. Unfortunately, again, 87 overall linemen. Not good enough to get drafted. I think we're getting, kind of some bias here. I think we're getting some high school reputation bias here. But here is that star wide receiver. He is almost fully maxed out already, and he's all right. He's an 81. I was hoping that with our first star player, he was going to be able to get up to, high 80s, because some of these other impact guys have gotten there. Speaking of, Damian Lord is looking like a monster. I mean, he has already maxed out some of his pass rushing moves, as athleticism. He's crazy good. This is absolutely a guy who should be getting drafted in the NFL, which is great to see. And we simulate through the season, we're ranked. Our first time getting ranked, and we're in the Sun Belt Championship. Middle Tennessee is also up there, Tulane's up there, so as much as I'd love to say playoffs are in our future, we'd need a lot to go our way for that to happen. But in our Sun Belt Championship, a lot less of a competitive one against Georgia Southern. And we are going to come out here and just steamroll our way to a back-to-back Sun Belt Championship victory. And another win keeps us in the top 25, and we are not making the playoffs, but 20th ranked in a bowl game against Fresno State. The playoffs, Tulane gets in. So Middle Tennessee did lose, but Tulane takes the playoff spot. But we're close. We're close to a potential playoff appearance, and Fresno State has the lead, and we are getting sacked here. So we are now in 2nd down and long. 5 minutes to play. Do we got a big drive in us to make this a very crazy season where we could end it in the top 20? As we have a big play there, now close to midfield. Rossi dropping to throw. The screen is set up. Blockers out in front, and that's a nice gain past midfield into enemy territory. 44-yard line, dropping to throw. Rossi is going to throw one, hit as he's thrown. Incomplete. Tried to maybe test that down the middle seam, and Rossi now on the read option. He can run it too. I will say, Rossi's a pretty fun quarterback, especially for a 1-star guy. He's definitely not the worst quarterback we've had in these videos, and we've done primarily videos focusing on like 5-star players, so he wouldn't even be the worst 5-star quarterback if he was one. And he's gonna run it here for the end zone. He fights his way in, and Kane Rossi gives us the lead. Now we're up by 1. Defense, can they cap this one off? And Fresno State with a big play there, catch and run, and he gets a block, and he's got a big gain. Now close to midfield, first down and 10. Throwing one, he's got a lot of time, and he finally just flings one deep, and it's going to be caught now at the 30-yard line. Hurrying back to the line, minute 42 to play. Handoff, that's going to be a big run, chunk gain, and at this point, you kind of want to let that happen because they can just run this clock and kick a field goal, third down, and they continue to just run this ball, run the clock. We burn a timeout, and the field goal for the lead is up, and it is good. Now we need a game-winning field goal drive of our own. Second down and 15, already backed up, and Rossi gets sacked. Now it's third and long. Fourth down and long now as it's just an incomplete pass on third down. Rossi getting hit as he's throwing, and unfortunately South Alabama goes down to Fresno State. So a disappointing end to our season, but still a nice year. I mean, we got Rossi coming out here and throwing 40-plus touchdowns to just a couple interceptions. What a season. I mean, for a 1-star quarterback, that is phenomenal. I haven't done anything also when it comes to, like, playbooks. I don't want to, like, you know, be cheap and just, you know, auto set the best playbook for simulation. I've kept everything on default. I'm just running South Alabama's playbook. I don't even know what the good playbooks are, to be honest, nor do I want to know. So if South Alabama maybe got a crack playbook, then I guess I've been cheating this whole time, but I haven't been paying attention to that. I just kind of run everything on basic and just see what happens. This is all an experiment, and I don't want to rig it with playbooks or anything else. So, I mean, to throw 41 touchdowns in a season as a 1-star quarterback is crazy. Damian Lord, he is base 87 overall, and the thing that's crazy is he's not like 100% max, so he could be 88, maybe 89 if he were maxed out. He's not going to, it looks like, unless he gets that progression throughout the season. Kane Rossi, look at that 99 throw power on him, and he's just not even maxed out as power, but I mean, as a quarterback, 99 throw power, you can't get much better than that, and he's gonna cap out at that low 80s overall mark. So it's really cool to see some of these players being legitimately good, because like you're looking at the overall at the top, it says we're a 76 overall. I just really don't think it's accounting the boost that these players have, because every position on our team is beyond that basically, and we even have mid to high 80s in some areas, so we're not a 76 overall team, but this team is pretty nice, and we have legitimate players, and Kane Rossi's a fun quarterback. Damian Lord's a legit NFL player, and as we go through the next season, the first college playoffs are out, and we are in the mix. We are 13th and 8-0, so obviously it'd be pretty unrealistic for us to come out here and have that full undefeated season. We don't, but for the first time, we're going to hop into a regular season game, and this is a massive one because it's Troy versus South Alabama. Both these teams on the top 20. We ended up losing to Texas State as our only loss. Troy has 2 losses, but they're ranked ahead of us, as this is basically the game that could potentially determine who's going to be that favorite to get that kind of wild card spot as the group of 5 team in the playoffs. And we are up by 3, but Troy is out here running for a big gain, and this is such a massive one to close the season. If we can win this game, we could be on our way to the playoffs with a Sun Belt championship, but Troy's got the touchdown, and now it's going to be up to Kane Rossi. He wasn't able to get it done last time, but can he do it this time? Can he make the big plays that we need to go out here, score a touchdown, and punch our ticket to the Sun Belt Championship and potentially a playoff appearance? Hanging on in traffic there. Midfield timeout was used. Now dropping back. Rossi is got a lot of time to throw, and eventually someone's going to get open. There we go, inside the 25-yard line. Back to the line. Minute 20 to play. Dropping to throw once more, and another clean pocket. The offensive line doing a great job, and he's got a first down there. Now inside the 15-yard line. Under a minute to play. We could take our time if we need to. Rossi going to go for the end zone. He's got it. Touchdown South Alabama, and now it's up to the defense with 40 seconds to play. Can we get the stop? Throwing one over the middle, that's going to be caught. Timeout by Troy. They got 1 left, so now what do you got for us, defense? Troy with a big play there, slant over the middle, gets caught past the 40-yard line. They're close to field goal range. 30 seconds to play. Flag is down. They get a run to get into field goal range, like a full comfortable field goal range, and it's holding. So we catch a major break. It's first down and 20 now. They need to throw it, and the pressure gets in, and the sack. Now Troy running out of time. They had to spike the ball. It's fourth down and long, and little time to play. Deep shot, and he missed it, Troy missed the deep shot. South Alabama is gonna win it. The only thing stopping South Alabama and these one-star players from making a playoff appearance is Appalachian State. And on third down, Rossi gets sacked. We're gonna have to punt the football away. They get good field position, and now with a 5-point lead, it's up to the defense to seal this deal. Second down and 5. Appalachian State is gonna go to the air. Now just about 60 seconds to play, and they got a big one there inside the 30-yard line and getting brought down just about the red zone. And luckily for us, we catch a really stupid break because Appalachian State, they just didn't want to snap the ball here for some reason. So they go and lose like 30 seconds and get a delay of game. And man, if we don't have luck on our side after that, Troy missing a touchdown potentially to end the game, and now we just basically get saved. 30 seconds goes off the clock. We get a sack here. Appalachian State spikes the football. They're down to about 10 seconds. End zone shot. It's incomplete, but the receiver had a step. Now it's fourth down. Under 10 seconds to play, and we're going to come out here and win the game. I mean, the amount of luck on our side to make it this far is crazy, but we're going to kneel this football down, and we're going to the playoffs. And if it needed this much luck and this much to go our way for us to make the playoffs, then man, imagine what it's going to be when we face a real team, because this is going to be terrifying. Clemson or USC is fighting to play us, who got a first-round bye for some reason. I know we won the conference, but man, we had an All-American player. We're taking on USC. I'm not feeling confident going into this one, but we're going to see the full scope of the simulation here and just kind of see what happens. It's not looking good. 7-0. We are punting the football quite a bit so far, and now it's 14-0, and now it's 21-0 at halftime. And I think we're running into a little issue because we're playing a real team. You know, no disrespect to the Sun Belt, but the Sun Belt is far from steep competition, and we can maybe come out here and win double-digit games in the Sun Belt, but we ran into a real team, a real like 90 overall team, and we got steamrolled. But the fact we made it to the playoffs is wildly impressive. I didn't think we'd be getting this far, because there are people who will make videos and, like, you know, they'll play the games. And if you're playing the games, like, if I were playing, I could probably win the national championship with this team, but I mean, to come out here and legitimately spectate and watch the team come out here and do it on their own, I didn't think the team would be able to get that far. So that's impressive nonetheless, and we have one season to go, and we're watching our guys, you know, graduate. We get to keep Damian Lord and some other guys, but we lose Kane Rossi, unfortunately. And in the final season, of course, we find a star player, our second star, so, I mean, it's not even going to matter since it's the final season. Unless you really want a part 2. I mean, if you guys really wanted a part 2, and I did the other 10, 15 years of this, I could, but I don't know how much further this team can go. Damian Lord, almost fully maxed out now. He's looking crazy. He's going to be awesome, and he's definitely going to be a highly drafted player. We have another guy here. He's looking really good too. Some of these offensive linemen, you know, that's really the thing here. Offensive linemen are the move for one-star players. You can actually get some competent guys. And, you know, I had to cheat a little bit. It's so impossible to find a tight end that I just said, you know, screw it. With all these great offensive linemen we find, I just stuck one at tight end just so we can have a 6th offensive lineman on the field. Because tight end, I have yet to find like a tight end even be semi-usable. It's just so difficult with 1-stars to get a good tight end. Let's see what we can do though. One season to go, and a playoff appearance was just in our rear view. But can we do it again? I decided to schedule a legit team just because we may have to get used to facing them. It didn't go well. We faced Miami and got absolutely steamrolled. So that's the issue we've kind of run into here, where if I do a part 2, I mean, can this team actually compete? I mean, I would have to put them in a better conference to get better opportunities, but I feel like we would just get we just get stomped in. I feel like we'd be a punching bag. I don't know. We win the conference championship again. Hey, Sun Belt Conference Championship, 11-win season, and playoffs potentially on the horizon. And look at that. Best wide receiver. It's Tyree Wolf. That wasn't even the star player. He got 22 touchdowns, though. I've seen players with that stat line win the Heisman Trophy. So, I mean, maybe a little bit of bias there. We didn't win the Heisman because we absolutely could have with that stat line. But we're not going to make the playoffs. Central Michigan, is the group of 5 team to get in. But first team All-American award winner, and an opportunity here to close things out with a legit win over a Power 5 school in Stanford, because we have just yet to be able to actually beat a legit team. Couldn't compete against USC, couldn't compete against Miami. Way early back, we were close against NC State, but couldn't do it. Now we're in a close win against Stanford. Can we actually beat a legit school? Can we beat a legitimate team? But Stanford has got themselves in goal to go. Little time to play. Stanford trying to get this lead. They throw back of the end zone, caught for the touchdown. Now let's see if we got a game-tying drive in us. I am tired of coming out here, not being able to beat these good schools. Throwing one underneath, that's going to be caught for the first down and a good bit more. Now we're right at about midfield, minute 20 to play, dropping to throw. That's going to be caught for the first down once more, hurrying back to the line. And now first down and 10. Throwing again, basically going to be staying in the air for the rest of the game. But the offensive line, look at the phenomenal blocking we got here. And he's just going to tuck and run eventually and get themselves not quite a first down, 2nd and inches. Maybe could have saved ourselves a timeout by getting that first down, but it's not going to matter. We get the first down here inside the 25-yard line, and now we're at a point where we got plenty of time. We don't need to rush, and we just need to get into the end zone, maybe force overtime here. Quarterback's going to run it again, and he's got a first down this time inside the 10-yard line. Goal to go, and now 40 seconds to play. Throwing one here, dropping back in the end zone, and that's caught for the touchdown. And now we turn to the defense, 30 seconds to play. Can we force overtime? Stanford starts off with a nice play there. Timeout, they got one left, and now dropping the throw once again. 20 seconds to play. They catch it there, and they're getting past midfield, and now they're in really long distance field goal range, and they're gonna try it. 59 yards, kick on the way. It is good. 59-yard field goal is going to take us out unless we can get a miracle here and throw in one deep. This is actually a really deep ball. That's an impressive arm strength, but it's not enough. And we lose on a 59-yard field goal. And once again, we just could not beat the bigger school. And that's the issue we ultimately ran into with this, video. But I think the results, as we kind of put everything together, pretty good. We came out here, only found 2 stars in 15 years, which is crazy. I didn't think it'd be that low, but got some legit players. 87, 88, 89, it's possible. Building a pretty much 80 overall team, it's possible. Getting solid quarterback play, it's possible. Getting to the playoffs, it's possible. Now, everything else, can we legitimately compete for a national title? Kind of doubt it. Can we do more? I don't know. Here's what we were able to do in the 15 years. Obviously, we're going to take out that first year because we, had a team we inherited that wasn't the 1-star schools. So, like the 4-8 record we had in year 1, we could just kind of take that out. But everything else was with 1-star players. And that's going to really just do it for this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Let me know what you think. If you like this kind of format of video, you want to see this a part 2, or maybe see this with 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, or some other type of video in this format where, I do some recruiting, I kind of get involved a little bit, but we still spectate the team or anything, mini series or stuff like that. I'm open to more ideas and more variety on this channel. So let me know what you all think. Like, comment, and subscribe, as all that stuff is super helpful to continue to get these videos out. And I will see you guys all in the next one.